Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Jeremy. This is the Financial Education Channel, and I should probably not be too happy for this video. We're talking about why us Americans are so broke and fat. Not the best subject to talk about in the world, but I have found that psychologically, these two reasons, why people are so overweight and why people are broke, are literally almost the same exact reason psychologically, guys. And I think at the end of this video, you guys will realize that the same reason most people are overweight and most people are broke are actually for the same exact reasons, guys. Now, are these even true? Is it even true that most of us Americans are broke and fat? Well, if you live in America, you probably know that it is true, but I'll read you off some statistics here. So, from what I've seen around looking at tons of different surveys and whatnot, around 66% of Americans are considered overweight. Overweight is a nice way of putting fat. That doesn't mean they're obese, but overweight and fat, they pretty much go together. And I found statistics around 50% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. I've also found statistics as much as 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. You live paycheck to paycheck, you pretty much means you're broke, unless somehow you have a ridiculous amount of savings, which most people would not fall into that category. Let's be completely honest. I mean, the percentage of people that actually have something meaningful saved away, like $50,000, $100,000, we know those statistics are extremely low in this country. We know that as well. So the fact of the matter is, absolutely, if you walk around your local grocery store, 2 out of every 3 people you're going to see in there are going to be overweight. And at least 1 out of every 2 people are going to be broke. They're going to be living paycheck to paycheck. Now, for me personally, I'm overweight. I would consider myself in that 66%. I'm trying to lose 20 to 25 pounds right now. It's hard. I'm trying to do it and all those kinds of things. But I would consider myself in that category. And as far as the paycheck to paycheck, when I started my businesses in 2016, for the first 6 to 9 months of those businesses, I lived paycheck to paycheck. And that's been the only time in my adult life I've ever lived paycheck to paycheck. And it was an absolutely horrible feeling. I mean, literally every dollar comes in, goes straight out toward bills. It is for me, it's like the worst. It's like the most annoying thing ever, guys. I remember this first month, I think it was around month 7 or 8 in 2016. I finally had $250 left over, and which isn't much money at all, but it just was something. And then a screw got in my tire or something. I had to go get a new tire replacement. And there goes the $250, and it was like, I just can't get ahead. And so I know what it feels like. I have been there, guys. It's freaking painful. So, certainly nothing that's fun. So what is going on here? Well, the first thing is you're going to have a huge segment of the population that say, well, it's not my fault. It's not my fault I'm in this situation. It's not my fault I'm fat. It's not my fault, I'm broke. It's because, I grew up and I didn't have any parents that taught me anything about financial education or whatnot, or it's because, every time I watch TV, they show a bunch of advertisements and it makes me hungry, and then I have to go out to Wendy's and get a big burger and fries and McDonald's commercials, and then I have to go get ice creams at McDonald's. Like there's going to be a lot of people that just blame it on stuff, and sometimes it's absolutely legit reasons. For me personally, both my parents are not considered overweight. And both my parents, fed me pretty well, growing up in life. So for me, it's probably a lot easier to stay in good shape than someone that was fed fast food every day and was, 250 pounds by the time they were in the 8th grade or something like that, right, guys? So there's certainly advantages and disadvantages. Same way, if somebody that grows up as a multimillionaire and has connections all over the place, it's going to be a lot easier for them to stay rich and never be broke and never live paycheck to paycheck because they started out way ahead of everybody else, where someone that, didn't have the dad at home and the mom worked all the time and they dropped out of high school and all these kind of things, it's going to be a lot harder for them to never be in a paycheck to paycheck situation. So there's certainly legit reasons, but at the same time, just because you have those reasons doesn't mean you can't overcome it, guys. We've seen how many people have lost ridiculous amounts of weight, how many people have gone from basically no education to building up huge fortunes through building businesses and things like that, guys. So just because you're in a situation, yeah, you're at a deficit, but it doesn't mean absolutely that's the scapegoat, and just because you were put in a certain situation, that's your scapegoat and you can just hide behind that forever. Absolutely not. So a lot of people, they do just hide behind that. They just say, this is the way it was and it's hard to get out of this, so I'm just going to be like this for the rest of my life, and they accept that fact. And that's why a lot of people are just stuck in those situations forever and they'll never get out of them, guys. The next one up here, so as it gets as the situation gets worse, it gets harder and harder to recover out of that situation. So whether you are overweight, you're fat, anybody that knows, the more weight you put on, and the older you get, the harder and harder it is to get that weight off. I know for me personally, if I wanted to drop, 10% of my body weight back in the day, like I could run, 5 or 6 sprints and like that would be the work for me. Now I have to run 12 sprints to do the same amount of work, guys. It's a whole different ball game now. It's a lot harder because I've gotten more and more weight, I've gotten older, and I have to, be more disciplined in all those kinds of things, guys. So it certainly gets harder and harder. If you are in a bad situation as far as living paycheck to paycheck, then all of a sudden you start taking out debt, you start doing a payday loan, you start doing this and that, then all of a sudden you get in a worse and worse and worse situation that it gets harder and harder to climb out of that situation, guys. And we know, generally speaking, as you get older, generally your bills go up and up and up. Either your bills are usually your youngest when you first move out of your parents' house or whoever you were living with before, and you start your adult life, as I like to call it. That's usually when your bills are lowest, and usually they get more and more expensive as you get later in life, up until, around, if you get your kids out of the house and whatnot and you're 50 years old, let's say, then your bills start coming back down again. But up until that time, it usually just gets harder and harder to get out of a situation if you're in a bad situation. So that's another reason. So the fifth part here is people procrastinate changing their situation. I've noticed this with people trying to lose weight, and I've noticed this exact same reason with people who are broke and living paycheck to paycheck. They procrastinate changing their situation. They procrastinate going to the gym. Oh, you know what? I'm going to start a gym membership after the new year. Oh, how many people have you been around in life who you've heard that from? It's November, December, and talking about losing weight, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, I'll wait for the new year to start, or they procrastinate this, or hey, we go work out tonight, and, at the park or whatever, we go do runs and whatnot, and then they're like, no, well, I got a busy work day tomorrow, no, I don't think I'll do it. They'll procrastinate even to other people or in their own mind. Same thing with people that are living paycheck to paycheck a lot of times. They procrastinate about applying for that better job. They're like, yeah, I'll apply for that next month. Maybe they'll be hiring better next month or something like that. They'll procrastinate. They'll say, oh, you know what? I really want to start that side business or try to that passive income stream, but you know what, I'll wait on that till, such and such amount of time. The amount of procrastination is an absolute killer with both these situations, guys. And I know you've seen in your own life, people procrastinate this stuff and then they just complain and they're still in the situation and they're still overweight and they're still in this situation. They're just procrastinating. They'll say they'll take care of it tomorrow. And guess what? Tomorrow comes and they don't take care of it tomorrow. And then the next day comes and they still don't take care of it, guys. So that's a huge reason there. Self-control is non-existent with a lot of these people. A lot of people that are overweight and a lot of people that are living paycheck to paycheck, they just don't have self-control at the end of the day. I mean, how many people have you seen, order a ridiculous amount of food, way more food than they need when they go out to eat? I know I've been in that situation many times when I've ordered like way too much food. I'm like, dude, I got to cut back. Self-control is huge when you're trying to lose weight. You can't just eat. I try, sometimes I used to try to eat still like I was, 18 years old and playing football or 19 running track and things like that. Like I can't eat that amount anymore. I'm almost 28 years old. Like the game's changing for me. My metabolism's slowing down. I can't just go to the taco shop and get 6 tacos anymore. I got to get 3 tacos now. Get half the amount I used to and run off that and those kinds of things, guys. You got to have self-control. With the money situation, people living paycheck to paycheck, a lot of times they buy this, they buy that. They have no self-control. They're just spending. And how many people do you know that make really good money and they're still living paycheck to paycheck? If you look at the percentages of people making $100K plus a year, which is a lot of money, that's a good amount of money, and are still living paycheck to paycheck and basically have nothing left at the end of the pie, that's ridiculous, guys. Like those people are just way overdoing it. They're just literally spending way too much money. They have no self-control. They think, oh, I need this. I need the newest phone. I need the newest car. I need the newest, TV. I need the newest PlayStation. I need the newest everything. I need the newest laptop. That's what those people are thinking, guys. They just don't have, a lot of them just don't have self-control at the end of the day. And you got to have self-control if you want to control these type of things, guys. Number seven, we fraud ourselves. We absolutely fraud ourselves a lot of times. So what do I mean by fraud ourselves? Well, in the paycheck to paycheck situation, the broke situation, a lot of people fraud themselves in the ways they'll, buy things to make it look like they're doing better than they are. How many people do you know that buy a car that they should not really afford? They buy, a watch they shouldn't really have. They buy, shirts or clothing they shouldn't really have. They buy a house that they really shouldn't have. It's way over and above what they should be able to afford, right? And why do they do that? to fraud other people to think that they are doing better than they really are in life. That's what it comes down to, and it tries to help their own self-esteem. Yeah, I live paycheck to paycheck, but at least I got that new car out there. That makes me feel good when I get in that car. They hide behind that, guys. They hide behind that. Same a lot of times with weight situations. I know I was just at the pool yesterday, right? I was at a resort pool with my wife and my son. And, I take off my shirt, and what was the first thing I do? I kind of like suck in my stomach a little bit and try to like flex my stomach like I got a six-pack or something. Lord knows I don't have a six-pack right now, but I was trying to fraud myself and fraud other people into thinking that I was in better shape than I was. And I just like realized it. I'm like, dude, who am I kidding? Like, I need to put in the work to get this weight down so then I actually have this stuff. I actually have a six-pack. I actually am in shape and all those kinds of things, instead of let me just suck in my stomach and try to tighten it so it looks like I got a six-pack or something, guys. Like, who am I kidding? All I'm trying to do is fool myself at the end of the day, and by fooling myself, I'm doing no good to myself at the end of the day. I'm hurting myself. So it comes down to the same exact situation, or they see someone else doing worse than them, and they make themselves feel better. Oh, look at that person. Well, I'm 275 pounds, but look at them. They're 385 pounds. Wow, I'm not too bad. Oh, look at them. They live in that type of house. They drive that kind of car. Look at my car. Look at my house. I'm not doing too bad. Come on, man. You're just frauding yourself at the end of the day. And we do that a lot of times. And that's another psychological reason why we can't get out of these situations sometimes, guys. And the last one is it comes down to we have low expectations sometimes. We just have very low expectations. And it's easy to have low expectations sometimes when the majority of people are broke and are fat, right? So these two situations, it's kind of natural to have low expectations. Now, for me, as far as at least on the weight side, like I probably have way higher expectations for myself than other people would have. A lot of people would see my body and say, you're in pretty good shape, man. Me, I'm like, dude, I'm in horrible shape because my expectations are like up here because I ran track and I used to have like 4% body fat and all these kinds of things and a six pack and just ripped out of my mind. And now I'm looking at myself and I'm like, dude, like I'm not in good shape at all. But that's my expectation level. A lot of people don't have a high expectation level, so they fall way down to the wayside, guys. A lot of times with the paycheck to paycheck situation, why are people broke? A lot of people don't have the high expectations. They've never seen anything better. Maybe they've only been in poverty their whole lives, and that's what they see, and that's just what they imagine, and that's just what they get at the end of the day. And so they're just looking around, and their expectations are so low at the end of the day, guys. And so if we want to get out of this, we got to have higher expectations at the end of the day. We got to have higher expectations. We got to stop frauding ourselves. We got to be real with ourselves. If we can only afford such and such, that's what we need to have. If we can only we don't need to be sucking in our stomach at the pool. We need to be true with ourselves. How do we really look? We don't need to fool ourselves or buy some type of clothing. How many chicks out there buy clothing to try to make themselves look better than they really look in real life, right, guys? At the end of the day, we need to, at the end of the day, have more self-control. We need to have more self-control when it comes to spending, when it comes to eating, and when it comes to working out. We need to have better self-control. We need to stop procrastinating. We need to We need to realize that as we get worse and worse in these situations, it's going to be harder and harder to recover. So we need to nip it in the bud now before it gets out of control. And the last one, we got to accept that it is our fault at the end of the day. We can't go blaming it on our parents. We can't go blaming it on the situation we came up with. We just got to accept however we came, however we were brought up, and we got to change our situation. We got to take control of our lives. Otherwise, we'll just be a bunch of fat, broke people at the end of the day, guys. So that's what it comes down to. I hope this video helped you guys immensely today in just understanding the psychology and how these two situations are literally almost identically related at the end of the day, guys. If you just came across this channel, you may want to subscribe. We talk personal finance in the channel. We talk entrepreneurship. I'm an actual business owner. I give away so many business tips. We talk stock market investing more than anything. This was very much a personal finance related video today. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.